President Xi meeting with U.S. business leaders last week, urging them to continue to invest in China. He also pledged further reforms to open the world's second largest economy to foreign companies. Joining us right now, following his trip to that forum, is former Commerce Secretary and Kellogg CEO Carlos Gutierrez. He's co-founder and CEO of Empath and a CNBC contributor. And Carlos, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
There were a lot of takes that we got back from this meeting last week. Some of them were the ones that were said publicly and in the media. Others were things that were kind of whispered behind closed doors or maybe in private, where the opening line that we heard from most people was, yeah, this was a way of trying to open up. But the other kind of backroom discussion that was taking place was these business leaders were being preached at and preached to and basically told what they can and can't do. How did you see things going?
Well, I heard about the economic forum. I was actually at the Boao forum the whole week. My understanding is that that Xi Jinping laid it out pretty much in terms of this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not going to do, and this is what China's system is, and that won't change that much. However, the to your point, the speeches at Boao, we had Chairman Zhou, he's essentially the head of the legislative branch and the third person in the hierarchy. And his speech could have been something that we gave 10 years ago. Opening up, decoupling is unrealistic, very, very positive towards trade. No question there are frictions, but what I found in China, Becky, is a vibrancy that has been there since I've been going to China. I visited a high-tech manufacturing plant, very high-tech material, a lot of like tractors, heavy machinery. I didn't see one person in the plant. I've been visiting plants for 40 years. The most advanced manufacturing facility I have seen in my life. And so what comes to mind is we're not going to outcompete China with sanctions. We're going to outcompete China with innovation, with better management, getting ahead of the technology curve, but not through sanctions. It's not working.
Carlos, you were quoted in the media last week as saying, what's happening today is ready for deglobalization. I believe that the U.S. is at fault. I won't say it's only the U.S., but the U.S. has a lot of responsibility for it. I understand your perspective, but I also feel like much of this was China's doing. For decades, China has been held to one set of rules. The United States has been held to another. When the United States, as China has made progress, kind of pushes back on that front, that's when things started to fall apart. So it's tit for tat. The U.S. is going along with it, but it also seems to me like they're the ones who have been expected to be the more mature, more giving partner for decades and decades since this began.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you brought that up. The second half of the quote is, it's not only the U.S. Mm-hmm. I do believe that the step change that was made in the tension, the friction in the trade relations was when we took on the tariffs and started the tariff war. That is something that we started. So in the immediate term, in the recent
we started
past,
in a way to try and push for a more fair and equitable relationship.
Yes,
I would argue.
That's correct. That's correct. And I don't think the tariffs did a lot. I think what we tried to do is do it to reduce our deficit. In all fairness, our deficit has declined $25 billion or so. It's important, but we still have a huge deficit. And I don't think we're ever going to get that to zero. But look, we are both on this tit for tat. I think one of the problems that we have is just the rhetoric that comes out of our country. And granted, we have freedom of speech, and anyone can say whatever they want. But
it's not just rhetoric, and it's not just nationalism that comes from this, Carlos. This is decades of Chinese companies ripping off and stealing protected property from American companies. You can look at Microsoft with what they had to deal with, their software getting ripped off and stolen. You can look at trade secrets. You can look at Chinese nationals who are working here in the United States who have been stealing property and intellectual property and sending it back to Chinese to compete with us. I mean, there's much more than just we got tired of it not being a completely fair game on the trade front. There are lots of problems that led to this. It was compounded by the realization during COVID that we were far too reliant on China as a nation. And then now it's been escalated to a national security issue where also what Xi was talking about to those American leaders last week, what he said to them is, we don't interfere in your border wars, you shouldn't interfere in ours, meaning Taiwan is, again, a place they see as their property and their geography.
Well, yes, I think Taiwan is a red line, and I think we should understand that. I think we should understand the historical role of Taiwan. But I think what we need to do, Becky, is sit down with the Chinese and define national security, define how it is that we're going to manage technology. If we find that TikTok, and I don't have the information, if TikTok is a national security problem, then we have to act. I just hope that we are not using national security as a trade tool.
I think it's much broader than just TikTok, though. I think you look at the trade secrets.
Let's talk about EVs. Let's talk about EVs. So now there's this the idea that we have to stop imports of EVs because they will be able to track where U.S. citizens are traveling. That if that is the case, then yes, we have to act. It would seem to me that we can inspect a representative sample of EVs coming into the country to see if there is some connection. I'm sure we can find a nanochip or something to that effect. But I believe that just putting a ban on EVs from China.
Okay, what about telecom? Where we've said this with telecom, we've said this with chips. Do you think those are overstretches of national security?
No, if there is national security, my goodness, we have all the right and we have the obligation. I just don't want to use national security as a pretext for trade. That's not our system. Let's say that's theirs, but that hasn't been our system. Our system is private enterprise, tech. It's been innovation, not industrial policy. And we are shifting to the point where our competitive stance is relying a lot on these sanctions. And by the way, these sanctions hurt U.S. companies in China. I don't think we're helping U.S. companies. Acquisitions seem to be off the table. That hurts U.S. companies. So yes, Becky, I'm not going to say the Chinese are free from any fault here, but we have been behaving a bit like China over the last, say, 8 years. I don't think the Biden administration's policies have been much different than the Trump administration policies.